Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Hyde. And I wanted to wish you all a belated happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and whatever holidays you celebrate. And I would like to get to some points here that I recently watched. I've been watching Taylor, The Fiend, and Head on the Mummy on Peace of Mind, and Lock the Bounty Hunter, and a couple of the other channels out there, Manosphere. There's a lot to be said about what's going on between men and women, and men walking away. It seems like it's made these problems even bigger, and it's like the women are taking everything that's happened like out of context, and they're going in the wrong direction. It's like they're not understanding that the problem isn't the men. it's the women. It's they themselves who are so distorted. Their views of the world are so distorted that they can't see men are just trying to live a life, be happy, and make a decent living for themselves. And every man has different dreams for his life. So and I guess women do too. But your dreams don't get to discount the men's, and that's the whole problem. Is your nothing you do matters to them. So your dreams are not important to women. It's a strange thing. I've watched so many episodes of the other guys talking about the MGTOW movement, and these women, and listening to their TikToks that are absolutely insane. They are absolutely insane. They keep saying things like men are afraid of them. No, men are not afraid of you. What men are afraid of is the law. And when you use the law as a cudgel to beat men with, they're going to, fear that law. They fear that power. They don't fear you. It's not you they fear. So you have this mistaken notion in your head. Men are afraid of you. No, absolutely not. They are not afraid of you. So get that through your head. I'm not going to bring videos on here and embarrass you further, because I see enough of them on whatever. I see them on, it's just the show called Whatever. If you haven't seen it, Pearl Talks, there's, Manosphere, there's The Wall, there's Taylor, The Fiend, Lock the Bounty Hunter. There's enough guys of showing your embarrassing moments on tape, and practically, half of these, I wouldn't make videos like that if I was in the position that some of these women are in. I would not make videos like that. I wouldn't tell everybody my business to that point. And I often, I have to remember. I get back to this. I'm trying to remember. I always want to say this, but women believe that a man should just about do everything, but then they'll turn around and say men don't do anything. Men have a thankless job, and that's the truth in the end of the story. Men, at the end of the day, men do not want to come home and fight with a woman. They want to come home and find peace in their home. So that's the biggest problem that women have, is they'll come in, instead of being peaceful. Hi, honey, how was your day? It's like, why did you do that? You left that garbage over there. They find things to nitpick at men about, and the men are not happy about that. Then you turn around and you say things like men hate women. Men don't hate women. Men love women. Men love women, or this human race would not exist today. And this whole idea that women go around saying that men don't do anything, well, the men built the world. The entire world you live in was built by men. Women can't lift boulders and move them and do all these things, and men build machines to do it, of course, but we do a lot of stuff that women won't do. You don't see many women plumbers digging in, walking through a sewer, doing sewage work, or, putting pipes in your house, or cleaning your toilet, or snaking your drains, or, you don't see women doing that because it's a filthy job. Trash men. How many trash women have you seen in your life? There's jobs that men do that women will not do. And let me get something through your head, okay? When someone thinks they're better than everyone else, it makes you less than everyone else. It doesn't make you better than everyone else. When you think you're better than everyone else, it makes you less than everyone else. When you sit there and say, men treat you wrong because you date the wrong men, but then you say you think you're better than all those other men. You think if you went with one of those other guys that you're settling. The truth is, those men are probably better than you. They've probably worked more in their life. They've probably seen more than you. You're not settling for anything. For them to go with you, they would be settling. And I'm not saying that as an argument, it's just a fact. A man settles for you. It's not the other way around, you see? Who wants to be with a woman who won't clean, won't cook, won't do dishes, won't do anything, while the man's at work every day? So he's got to come home after a long day at work and then clean and do dishes. And if she's working, then it should be a 50-50 thing, okay? It's not one should do everything. Maybe if you're both working, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't work. What I'm saying is that when your aspirations surpass, your ability to reach a mutual agreement with a man, and you live with a man, and you can't decide where who wants to do what, that it leads to a lot of issues. And all this stuff about you not needing a man, you don't need a man. You can you can be independent, but you still always end up needing a man. Whether you call your cable guy, your plumber guy, your sewer guy, there's always a man to cut your grass, or to, so this thing about it's not men who hate women. The difference between misogyny and misandry, okay? What's the difference? You don't even know, most of you, what a misogynist is, really, because most of you have never met a misogynist, but you call men misogynists when they don't agree with what you say. You can't label me and tell me what I know. You can't tell me how I feel. You can't tell a man doesn't care when you don't know him, because you're not him. You're not inside of him. You don't feel what he feels. You are not the man that you're accusing of all these things. You don't know how he feels. And that's the problem with 90% of the women out there. They have these high values. They want a 6 foot tall man. This. You fooled yourselves. You put makeup on your face to make yourselves look like a 10, or you think you do. You think you look like a 10. A lot of you are 5s, 4s, and you put on makeup and you might go up to 6 or 7. But you're not 10s. So you've deceived yourself in thinking you deserve this big, rich guy with this big, rich car. Hey, if it happens, that's great. I'm not saying that it can't happen. If you can do that, that's great. If that happens for you, that's great. But if that's all you live for, then you're going to pass up everything you ever wanted to get something that you'll never have. And just think about that. You ever find a guy who will put up with the kind of... You have to be nice. Men want peace. They don't want arguments. They don't want fighting. They don't want to date another man. If they wanted to date another man, they date men. And no, men don't love other men like that. I've heard you say all kinds of crazy stuff. At least not typically. Men don't love other men. They love women. And Men just want a peaceful home. They want a home they can come home to. Hey, honey, how was your day? Yeah, nice. Hey, this thing here, you might say, hey, this thing over here needs to be done, or something needs to be fixed, or that I can't do, or but it ain't even that anymore. It's like, well, you did this or you did that, or you can't, So you get to the point where you're making men feel miserable. Why does a man want to come home after a miserable day at work and then be miserable at home? That's not how it works. And you wouldn't want that either. Then you say men's got to pay your bills and you need to get your nails done. You didn't have, if your man asks you on a date, he didn't say, hey, go get your hair done, get your nails done. I want you to look perfect. No, men didn't do that. That was your decision. That man is not responsible for all your makeup and your hairdos and your nails and your other junk. What about him? He had to get ready. He had to brush his hair and take a shower and clean up and put on some freaking cologne or whatever he does. So men had to get ready to go somewhere too. Unless, you think they just want to show up like a slob, and not, not even to put on a decent set of clothes or, but are you offering to pay them for their time, their money, because for men, time is money. If you don't think that time is money, then you're going to be on the losing end in life every day. You have to think about time as money. And if a woman thinks of a man as a burden, or, if you're more of a burden, I'm going to clarify here that if a man isn't working, he doesn't do what he should do, he doesn't take care of himself, then he's a burden. But all these men out here working that you say, oh, I'd have to settle for him. No, he'd have to settle for you. It's not the other way around. He'd have to settle for you. And at the end of the day, you probably don't even deserve that man. I'll be honest with you, most of you don't. You don't deserve the men you have. Because what do you do? What do you bring to the table? Nothing. You think your looks are enough? You think that your charming personalities are enough? No, you don't have charming personalities. When you do, you're acting. It's one thing to act. I'm not going to get into philosophical and religious debates here, but I want to say something about that a lot of people don't understand. This is men and women. That God's grace isn't just dependent on you doing the right thing. They tell you how many times in church you can't just go do the right thing to earn the reward of being allowed into heaven. So I'm doing this saying this is for religious purposes but if you're a good person and you care about people, you do the right thing anyway because you care. You can't act like you care one minute and then be this evil person the next. You have to be that good person that you're not just pretending to be. You have to actually be a good person. You can't just act like you're a good person. You can't act your way through life. You can try. You're not going to end well. And I see a lot of cats in your future. You can't act one way to some men and another way to other men. You can't sit and think that you're better than all these men. You're not. You think it was an accident that God put the same amount of men or same amount of women on the planet? And 90% of the women want 1% of the men. You think that's what God would have planned? No, he expected that some of you would be with regular average guys. All of you women should be expecting to be with a regular average guy. You shouldn't be looking for the Chad anyway. Chads destroy your lives. They wreck you. And these men that you think are just average guys have probably seen a lot more than you ever will. They probably know a lot more than you ever will because you live in a entitled, small, little version of the world in your mind. And listening to you talk, I know that is a fact. Listening to you talk about men like they're absolutely talk about men like they're dogs. And I've heard you all do it. And, it's utter insanity. We have to get past this. Now, see, I'm not going to be here like the other guys and point my finger at you, but I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, I'm throwing the shoes out. If you see a pair that fits, put them on, If the shoe fits, wear it. The same. Or maybe you don't, because some of you have very secluded lives in a manner of speaking. You have your small circle of friends, and about everything you know about the world, from that little small circle of friends. You know nothing. I've lived all over the United States. I'm in my 50s. It doesn't matter how old I am. But, the funny thing is, I got friends who are younger than me, who look older than me. So I've maintained my, younger look for all these years. You talk about love and grandiose things, and at the end of the day, the truth is you don't know what love is until you've loved someone more than you've loved yourself. The problem is so many of these women love themselves. There's a level of narcissism and they see it in the mirror when they put on their makeup every day, and they're fixated on themselves, and they can't self-reflect. They don't see how bad they've become because they don't know how to define what good and bad is. They've lost the ability to know right from wrong, apparently. And to sit in dog men because they go overseas. Men are going to find happiness. If a man wants to go anywhere in the world to find his happiness, that's his choice. That's his freedom. It's not your business to say it ain't okay. That's none of your business. What he does with his life. If he wants to go to China and find a bride, or Taiwan, that's his choice. You have no say in it. So this whole thing with you all telling men they are this and they are that, and you don't decide what a man is. The only person you can decide what they are is your own self. Your own self. You cannot predict what someone's going to do. You can't predict how they think. You can't predict anything except your own actions and your own mental awareness and your, it's yours to carry with you. Everything you carry, your burden is your burden. It's not everybody else's fault you're not happy. No one can make you happy. I can't come into your head and make you happy. Your happiness is within you. Jesus himself said it. Again, this is not a religious debate, but what he said is not just true on a religious level. He said, look not over here nor over there, for the kingdom of heaven is within you. And I heard this said by someone the other day. You can't expect people to make you happy. You have to be happy with your life as it is, as you are. You have to be happy with yourself. And then the other things will come and fall in place later. You can't expect that everybody's going to come and make you happy. No one has to come and do anything for you. That's the whole point. A man doesn't have to pick you up and take you to a fine restaurant. A man doesn't have to take you for coffee. A man doesn't have to take you anywhere. He doesn't owe you anything. That's what I've been trying to get across to these women. And I'm not saying it out of meanness. I'm just telling you the truth. It's just the truth. Men don't have to do anything for you. You understand? A man can be single and he takes care of his own dishes. He cooks for himself. He cleans for himself. He cuts his own grass. He doesn't need you to do any of that because you don't do it anyway. So what part do you play in his life? What do you add? Okay? If you go with a man and you can't cook, now he's got to cook for you too. What does a man get out of that? Sorry, spreading your legs doesn't count. I don't know if you remember the old saying, you catch more bees with honey, than flies with crap. You know what I mean? You can't be this miserable person, pretend you're all good and pretend you're all nice, and then you're obnoxious. So many women out there are absolutely obnoxious now. And I listen to their talk and their rhetoric on TikTok and this and men or that and this. And you don't appreciate a woman and you don't need to settle for him. He's ugly. What is ugly? What is ugly? There is no definition really of ugly. You could use the word unattractive. What's the definition of unattractive? You know? But you can sure define what you think a 10 is, can't you? No. You think a 10 is what you are, but most of you aren't 10s. Now you're talking to someone. I was really, and I'm not just saying this from my personal stance because it gives me anything out of it. I'm telling you, I was a borderline Chad for years. When I was younger, I ran around. I didn't commit to anyone, you know, and really now I'm back at that point again because I don't want to commit to anyone. Because there's nothing in it for me. What do I get out of it, huh? You know, other than that, there's nothing that you have to offer. Nothing. You can cook and you can do all this stuff, and you're still a miserable person. It does nothing for me. I don't want you. No, nor do most men. They don't want you in their life. They don't want you coming in and making their life miserable every day. If you're a happy person, that's a different story. If you come in and your husband's like, "Hi, honey, how's your day? We're good." Yeah, and things weren't always that negative. Wow, you think of it, the lying has to stop somewhere, and it can only stop with you. The old thing that I tell people all the time is when you look in the mirror and you lie to yourself every day, you can lie to anyone. If you can't look at yourself and know that you've been lying, then there's probably, I'm going to say no hope for you, but you don't, you're not that great person that you pretend you are to everyone. You don't go on TikTok and you don't tell people your whole life story. You don't tell people what this guy did and dox a guy and do this and that. You don't do all that. You don't. Your private business is your private business. That's why I don't put the women's videos on there, because to me, it's sort of like you're still giving them attention that they shouldn't get. Really things that shouldn't even be looked at. A lot of them say things that are absolutely so ridiculous. I don't see the point in, you can't but define misogyny. You don't even know a misogynist. I don't even know a misogynist myself, and I've lived all over the United States. Just like a racist. The last real racist I met was in 1980 in Georgia. And I only knew that because that's what he told me. Who knows if he is today or not. But I didn't know the guy, and he wasn't my friend. He was just somebody in the neighborhood who I knew of him. I didn't know him personally. I wasn't a friend of his. I like women. I do. I find women attractive. I'm attracted to women. I don't care about all that big women stuff and all that, but I think you're taking something that's unhealthy and trying to make it the new norm, and that's the thing. We have to. I'm got a little heavy myself after right before my wife passed away. My wife passed away 4 years ago, and I was a little heavy. I lost some weight. I'm still trying to lose more, but I'm not trying to go date anyone. So it's not really about them. It's about me. See, that's how you need to be. It's about me, for myself, doing it for myself. Do things for yourself and then worry about it. If you can make yourself happy, then someone else who's also happy with themselves, you see, it's like the double, you get double happy. That's great. You know what I'm saying? You can't just decide that the guy needs to make you happy. It doesn't work like that. Take it from someone who, I was married almost 20 years, so you can't control other people's lives. Your freedom ends where mine begins, you see, and vice versa. My freedom ends where yours begins, you see. You can't run over somebody's life. You can't dictate to a man what he is. Now I've seen instances where there are exceptions to every rule. That's one thing people don't understand. There are exceptions to every rule. There's always one guy, I think it would be safe to say that, like, Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer. Yeah, so we can say what he was. But as far as your average man out here, you don't know what he's been through. You don't know what he's seen. You don't know what he's done. But you think you're settling for you don't know what. What do you not think you're settling for? Because you don't know. That's the whole thing. You don't know what he's been through. How can you say that you'd be selling for him when you don't know what he has, what he's experienced, what he knows, how he can help you, how he can help you? You don't know any of that because you don't take the time to get to know someone. You just automatically think because, well, I'm a 9 or 10, so I deserve a 9 or a 10. But the chances of you ending up with a 9 or 10, especially one with a bank account and six-figure incomes, 6 foot tall, 6-pack, good luck to you. Because it's probably not going to happen. The thing is you could get with a guy and he could be close to that, and maybe together y'all both work on each other, and if it's a mutual thing, that's another thing entirely. But see, it's never mutual anymore. You tell a man you're happy until the day you leave him because you have no loyalty. You don't take those vows seriously when you take them. So you really don't get it. You're not putting 2 and 2 together. 2 and 2 doesn't make 3. It makes 4. Okay, just so you know. Anyway, I'm not going to stretch this out too much longer, but here's the point. At the end of the day, no one can make you happy but you. So, find some happiness in yourself and then try to build your world around your happiness, because you know what Jesus said also? He said, don't build your house on sand, build it on stone. If you build it on sand, it'll wash away. You got it? That's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just think about it. Y'all take care of yourselves and be good. Bye-bye. I'm sorry, I wanted to add something on the end because I was watching Taylor the Fiend and Locke the Bounty Hunter and Hidan the Mummy, and there's a couple things I've noticed lately that men aren't as superficial as women, and yet you claim we are, but then you put 10 pounds of makeup on your face and you convince yourself that you're the supermodel because you have 10 pounds of super makeup on your face, and you believe that your value goes higher and that you're worthy of that 1% of men, which you're, by the way, never going to find. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's the chances of that happening are slim to none. So the problem with you is that you're complaining that you're not finding that 1% that you're looking for, when there's 99% of the men around you who are more than capable of making you happy. But see, you won't look past the superficial edge there, and everything, you think men are lesser than you because you put that 10 pounds of makeup on your face. These men go out here and they work every day of their life. They experience things. They experience life, death, happiness, all the same things you do. There's nothing you bring to the table except peace and maybe the joy of a man having the conversation with a woman. That is, men miss conversations with women when they're sane, when you're on an even keel. We enjoy that. You can't just look at a man and just automatically think that you're better than him. Sorry. The moment you think you're better than everyone else, you actually become the opposite. You become lesser than everyone else. See, so really, you saying you're selling for a man, no, he'd be selling for you. Again, because you don't make your value by the things you think. The only thing that makes a person more valuable in life is that they help other people. That's what makes people become, legends in stories, because they go out of their way to do great things. See, you sitting and judging men No critic ever went and hit down in history as being a great person, okay? I'm sorry that you don't recognize that, but you also don't recognize that you're deceiving yourself in the mirror every day with that makeup. You're not that 10 woman that you think you are, or just because you put makeup on. What if men put on makeup? No, but men don't do that, see? We don't act like something we're not. We don't have to, see? And really, you don't either. If you had, you know what a man really is attracted to? A chipper, kind of nice, friendly woman with, who looks halfway decent. That's what a man is attracted to, not superficiality, not, and you thinking you're going to get that rich 1%, good luck to you. Because again, there's 350 million people in this country. If you assume that half of them are women, I'm just, what 175 million, roughly, are women. So if 175, I think it's actually higher for women. I think there's more women than there are men. So you take 1% of the whole population, and they're the rich chads. Many of them are married, settled down. Some of the 1% are women. So you can't. You're deceiving yourself to think that you're going to go out and find this person who just fits your puzzle magically. The chances of it ever happening are slim to none. And I'm telling you, from someone, I believed in that sort of thing, that romantic, ideology, you're a romanticist. And, I was married for 20 years. I lost my wife, unfortunately, to a pulmonary embolism 4 years ago. I was happy with my wife. You know what made me unhappy with my wife anytime we were unhappy was other people's interference. When she listened to friends who were, supposedly looking out for her interests. It's never that way. Women give women horrible advice. That's at the end of the day. That's the truth. If you want to find happiness, you want to find a man, stop thinking you're made of gold, because you're not. Stop thinking that you're selling for a man, because the chances are he's actually selling for you. And I'm not just saying that to be rude. The reason I'm saying that is because men are more self-sufficient than women. Men can cut their own grass, men can cook, men can do their own dishes, men can change their tires, do their plumbing, move a pallet of bricks. Men do things that women can't or won't do. And if you're a woman and you can do all those things, more power to you. And if you think the man is going to be submissive because you can do these things, then good luck with your cats. You take care of yourselves and have a good evening. Happiness is a choice. Only you can make it. Take care.